The Yellow Brick Road. This video does not reflect the actual views of real people. These are actors playing a role to entertain audiences. No persons or animals were harmed in the making of this video. Gosh, I love YouTube and I love Google.
Who the fuck is that?
Well, he's going to introduce himself.
Okay.
And that's Alex from Cosmicskeptics. And he's going to be talking about Ben Shapiro being wrong about hell. I have no idea about Shapiro's idea on hell.
I just like the dead presidents behind him. I like that. In the books, they're much neater than mine.
Onward.
Textbooks.
Wait, who's on the 20? Grant? No. He's on the 50.
It's a white guy.
Jackson, right? Andrew Jackson? Nah, who cares?
What?
They're dead anyways. Alright, ready?
What the fuck was that?
Presidents.
Who cares?
That are dead already.
They're dead anyway. Blue and red.
Nobody says anything. This is my build the wall between.
Yes.
Blue and red.
I already disagree.
Disagree with what?
Build the wall between church and state.
Now, what is this wall he speaks of?
He doesn't want religion to cross over into secular policies.
No, why do you think he
and vice versa.
Why would you say someone may think that?
Because that happens. Let's say a lot of Middle Eastern, factions want to start their own state, ISIS, and also more moderate types, but they want their religious law to be the social law too.
Okay.
So that's what he means there.
Okay.
And
what's with the blue and red thing going on?
I don't know. Maybe to be balanced. He's, blood and crypt. Anyways, if people heighten their moral intelligence, you might not need either of those. Thus, you don't need some wall between them. But whatever.
Church and state's t-shirt, but of course my camera conveniently cuts it at just the right place. Good morning, everybody. My name is Alex, and I hope you don't mind me continuing our discussion of hell from my last video. As today, I'd like to take some time to fulfill
Might check that one out too.
Tasks that I've ever been repeatedly
discussion of hell,
and that is to address the views of Mr. Ben Shapiro on atheism and religion. Now, the video that's usually sent to me regards Shapiro's views on there being no way for free will to exist without God. I've never actually responded to this because I happen to agree with him. I don't believe in free will, and you can watch my past videos if you'd like to see why. Of course, the link is available in the description.
Alright. I'm gonna close this fucking thingy.
Window? See it?
Of course, the link is available in the description. Instead, I recently stumbled across a soundbite from his Daily Wire show, in which he talks about the accusation that teaching children about hell can be rationally viewed as child abuse. I think Ben is an exceptionally well-articulated and much-needed voice for the right wing of American politics at the moment. Even when I find myself in disagreement with him, I can almost always understand at the very least why we don't see eye to eye, but on this particular topic, I just cannot defend his logic.
Let's try this again.
Gabriel says, "Hey Ben, greetings from Brazil. Do you think the sharp increase in nihilism and self-hatred in the West has a direct correlation to our rejection of religion?"
Fucking Eminem, God.
Alright.
Rap guy.
So, the person is asking, does our lack of religion, is that the reason for self-hatred and nihilism, apathy, disregard, lack of care?
Yep.
Is it?
No.
Why not?
Well, in my opinion, what? The lack of, right?
Is that causing self-hatred and all these other things?
Well, for one, I believe if it wasn't there to begin with, and if society was still like this, which I believe it probably would be if people didn't do, they could call it just work, internal work.
Alright.
Then you might get like a similar result.
Because
it's tough. Because I can't tell you exactly what would happen. You know.
Well,
all you need is a group of people that aren't really exposed to that, and people who are exposed, and they both have similar results.
Okay.
Or they are. My bad.
I'd go with first establishing what religion is, because I'm sure he's using a different definition than I would use for myself.
Right.
For myself, I could say,
I know, like druid, cloaks.
For myself, I could say,
nice rock.
Establish principles and stories that reflect my moral stance on things. What I think Ben Shapiro means is atheism, not atheism, Christianity.
Not far off, buddy. Yeah.
Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Buddhism, onward and onward. Paganism. Scientology.
The Mormons.
Mormonism.
The Mormons.
The Mormons.
The Mormons.
So.
You gotta call them the Mormons.
Those typical mainstream religions, if they were completely gone, people would still be fine. There's no correlation between the religions and self-hatred and apathy. What needs to be present is just care. Simple. All you have to do is care, and you'll find some sort of spiritual thing from whatever venture you're on.
After the sacrifice has been made.
Yes.
As Nietzsche predicted, yes, I do. I think that the rejection of faith in favor of science has led to the destruction of both faith and science. I discussed
the rejection of faith in science has led to the... Wait, what? The rejection of faith and the acceptance of science has caused the destruction of both, I believe is what he's saying.
I don't know what he means by that. I mean, from what I can understand is...
you might be leaning towards... some
like
sort of faith in something leads to a curiosity, which leads to test tubes and lab coats to figure something out.
But when you have both these two things that may not exactly have, like, let's say, like a fundamentalist point of view, maybe, how that
in
like
religion fundamental.
Well, sure. You have that. Then you have maybe when people use science as far as, well, we use this so we know everything. Or as far as both kind of go off of like like one's like using like an estimate to determine like a possibility or a theory. Another one is when you use fundamentalism, it's like
it's a literal reading of their scripts or whatever,
without much digging. So maybe he's saying both of them don't really stand high up. One's I don't know what he's saying.
Let's see if we find a definition of faith first. I guess.
This last week in the big idea, but the idea that we are free human beings capable of making decisions, the idea that we have free will and change our minds, the idea that we have moral responsibility for our actions, all of these things are products of faith, not products of science. And
are they? Because
it's tough. It's really weird. I don't know what he means by that.
Because there's this blanket term, science, and it's like, do you mean scientific method? Like, is that what you mean?
I have a rock in my hand. I let go, and it goes to the ground. Gravity, science. I don't know. But
scientific method is something that can be used for internal existential things. Like,
sure, but I don't know.
Like psychology.
Yeah, but I don't know if he's excluding that.
It's like,
yeah.
I think he's using science. Yeah, you might be using science as like
Again, he's
Just
going.
the word science.
He's going machine gun on me, and I don't know if he's exactly deliberately not explaining what he's saying. Like,
Well,
I don't know.
he's using the
It's been
typical.
like a minute, you know.
I think he's using the typical Webster's dictionary definition, other than when he
Sure, but
says,
isn't it everyone
other
has-
than when he says science. Like,
Okay.
it's this big thing.
But at the end of the day, there's his own little input of what it means or what he meant by it.
Let's see if he explains.
Science has actually undermined a lot of these claims, leading to a deterministic universe that forces you into a sort of existential nihilism. And that's
It forced me. The universe forced me.
Alright, what he's saying is without the woo-woo of religion, people will be like, well, fuck, why should I care then? It's like, we all just live and die and then that's it. What's the fucking point? That type of thing. I think that's his argument, which is
Why is
silly.
Why is it weak? Why is it a weak argument? Definitely sounds like one.
I would say, it's weak because it. It's weak because it does too much of too many blanket terms there.
Vague.
Like,
Vague.
yeah, to where if you make this one decision, then it means this. If I choose to not be religious, all of a sudden life is meaningless, which is not true. And also, faith can be something
I didn't notice
as a tool that leads you to the knowing part, to where, oh, I know there's meaning in life. I'm creating it as I go.
Yeah.
As opposed to, I believe there's something giving meaning to life. So, faith is a minor league term, I would say. It's a
Oh God.
it's a baby step.
Oh. Oh. Damn. Fuck.
Onward.
They're coming for us, man. Fuck. Minor league.
very dangerous for society.
Not true. As soon as something becomes testable, falsifiable, etc., it becomes science. Free will is studied principally in the field of neurology, and the claim that we have control over our decisions is a testable hypothesis. And the fact that you...
Wait, what?
Oh, it's not.
What?
He's saying ideas like free will can be tested in a lab.
I haven't heard them explain free will. That's what's kind of bugging me a little bit.
I think he's gonna get to that. But, well, you can almost deduct what he means. He says neurology, right? So that's like studying the brain. Whatever, neurons in the brain.
Right there, you see? Yeah. Okay.
It's like, so if your initial premise for free will is based on brain activity, then you're gonna, like, no matter what you do, you're gonna lead to a, what I would say, incorrect answer. Because your initial premise is the brain.
It's dancing in a ballroom with two left shoes.
You start with the brain.
Yes.
Start with the brain as your central idea and then build things around it. You're gonna come to an incomplete or incorrect answer from that. That's like starting a house with, danky wood.
Danky wood?
It's gonna break at some point. It looks like it's about to go. But, a small breeze will knock your house over if you start out with that shitty fucking wood.
It's like, no. Of course, no one dies.
freely conflating the lack of free will and determinism, as well as claiming that there's no alternative but nihilism if you don't believe in free will, demonstrates that you seem not to have read even slightly into the topic.
It's like,
I do agree with that part. That if you're not on some faith-based thing, then you're a nihilist and nothing matters. It's like, that's kind of wrong.
Kind of wrong.
Yeah.
Very, very, like, kind of broad term, though.
Yeah, that's why I would need a definition of what he means by faith.
Well, on paper, I think it's very wrong, unless I hear, his definition.
I would assume what he says by faith, he means some sort of religious thing. But if you look at what faith, the textbook definition of it, disregarding the religious aspect, that's what science is. Right? You make a hypothesis. Like, oh, I believe this without...
Yeah,
I haven't done the test yet, but this is what I believe is going to happen.
Yeah, theories,
Or you can even say, I believe I'll arrive at an answer. That's faith, I would say.
I've spoken about this at length with my friend Steve from Rationality Rules. A link is available in the description.
Nicholas says, Dear Ben, today I got into an argument with an atheist friend of mine who believes that telling your kids that living a sinful life will lead you to hell is child abuse and will scar your kids for life. I'm not an extremely religious person, but I believe in my Christian values. How do I explain the morality of teaching kids about sin?
If you...
What?
If you teach your kids about hell,
And we should do record
it's
him,
child abuse.
record him and play in slow mo.
I understood that one. What do you think?
Oof.
You teach your kids about hell.
I'd have to know what they mean by that.
Say biblical hell.
Well, even that.
Fire and brimstone.
It's
Fuck.
red fire.
That's gotta be Cain. That's gotta be Cain.
You see that? Paul Bear? No?
Yeah. Just
God, gross. Yeah, I'm sorry. He's dead now, but they knew how to make that guy look creepy as fuck.
nah, he ain't creepy.
Oh, he was creepy.
Maybe the original Undertaker.
He was creepy, dude. Yeah. Paul Bear, come on.
Alright,
Don't touch me.
Teaching your kids.
Well, from what I understand, it can be used as a fear tactic, you know. But that's like teaching like a kid. See, this is good. This is the good thing to do. No, this is good and this is evil. And this is how they're different. And this is why, you know. How do I say this? Teaching them why why it's better to do the right thing. It's absolutely, it's tough to how to say this, right? Teaching them, that's tough. You can't teach people how to be good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's basically like this. You can't fucking make it such as if you do this you'll go to hell and blah, 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 blah. So you gotta fake it. Like, I'm not saying they're saying that, but they're giving them ultimatum, you know. Either you do this good deed and don't understand why it's the good thing to do, or you're gonna go to hell and you'll be tortured and be burned alive. You'll be poked and touched, and maybe some dude in a fake. I'm gonna call it a
Trident?
no.
Spear.
A little more R-rated here. Call it a pool toy, if you will, a noodle, and it's a strap-on. Okay. Now, that's like giving them like an ultimatum, and they might conclude, well, fuck it, man. It's like, no.
And I wouldn't call it child abuse. I'd call it.
I just call it psycho. It's tough, you know.
I would say it depends on intention.
Sure.
With the parent, but
I just call it ignorance. Big time.
In your example, yeah, it's. But
that whole
doesn't
thing,
have to be.
I'd make it a metaphor. You know.
Yeah, you'd have to understand what hell is first.
Yeah.
And be able to explain it somehow. Because, to me, it seems like
Oh, by the way, I've heard that has been added in. The whole hell, fire, you'll be burned. That was added in as a fear tactic to make more people submissive. It's a scare tactic.
I do not know.
For children to scare them. I don't know. That's what I heard. From where? Don't remember.
And I forgot what I was going to say. Onward.
Well, I mean, I think the fact is that teaching children that certain behavior is going to lead to an unhappy life both here and in the hereafter is not child abuse. It's actually a valid warning.
Okay, I'm just going to jump.
What?
Like, he said it's a valid warning. It's like...
What?
Okay, you can't... If you're going to accept free will...
Valid.
And if you're going to accept free will, then you should understand that people might be afraid of certain things.
Hence,
they shouldn't be afraid to do good, because that's what that is, right?
yeah, it's giving you an ultimatum.
It's even if I'm scaring away from the bad things, like this is bad, something bad will happen to you if you do this. Them choosing the good is still carrying that fear with them. So you're making a good choice based on fear.
Yeah.
And with fear.
Yeah.
It's like a trembling choice rather than a heightened being whatever, standing on top of the mountain like, I fucking did it.
Sure.
Instead it's
more
like,
of,
I didn't do that.
hey, you see, hey Jordan, you see little Billy over there, tripped over his laces over there, and scraped his knee? Help him up. Do it. It's the right thing to do.
What do you got?
Don't talk. Just help him.
Yeah.
It's like, if you don't.
It's like an argument we had some random day
I'm down.
where it was
There's no need. No. Whatever.
where I was sort of putting the question out there like, are you anti-war or pro-peace? I put those two ideas out there because there's a difference. Are you doing good or are you trying to not do bad?
I remember this led us. Don't worry.
Different intentions in the whole thing. Alright.
Well, yeah. There is no, people like to make it an ultimatum because it kind of it helps them survive in their own little bubble. That's the best way I can say. But it's like this house I made, this ultimatum, this logical thing I made up, it helps me survive here. Justify what I did. Justify it. It's like, no. Wait, it was bad. It was a bad thing. Killing them wasn't the only answer. You know? For whatever. So, yeah, I don't think so. I mean, I know it's not.
I'm in here for a second. Hell is not an unhappy place. It's not like some kind of environment in which you'll be fine, but a bit upset and regretful that you didn't strictly adhere to scripture. No, hell is the worst possible place imaginable, where cries are drowned out by all others, and tears are evaporated by fires of unthinkable magnitude.
So this is that
Fundamental shit?
yeah, it's arguing against fundamentalism while adopting their ideas too, and then calling it I'm debunking religion or something, or I'm pointing out how dumb religion is by adopting the idea of the craziest ones and then saying how stupid it looks. It's like, alright.
Haven't you guys ever read rap lyrics or poetry? Come on now.
Even then, it's
All you gotta say is walking on water.
well, it's like taking a some sort of argument and stance like Santa Claus is fucking fake. It's like, alright, we all get that. There's probably maybe a few minority that actually do believe that, meaning adults, not kids. Kids are kids.
Oh yeah, he's not real.
Straight up adults that might actually believe Santa Claus is real. Now, if I want to just get rid of the whole tradition of Christmas,
Kill everybody.
do I go to the guys who believe Santa Claus is an actual guy and argue with them and say, see, I'm right?
What you gotta do is you gotta amass this gigantic political campaign, and you make Santa a Nazi, and a racist, and a pedophile, and you'll kill Santa Claus forever. And what you said there too. Yeah.
Sorry, Mr. Shapiro, this kind of cruelty is so unchild-friendly that I wouldn't be surprised if this video gets age restricted.
No?
Wrong.
Why is he wrong?
Because everyone's different, so there are children that can handle these esoteric ideas.
Esoteric?
Where everything's just not on the surface for you. It's a little bit murky, a little more abstract. But, yeah.
Well, if you're a person of faith...
Wait. Since I'm sure he's going to go with the brain deciding your intelligence and all that.
Mm.
So it's like, well, it's children, so they can't understand these sophisticated ideas here.
I bet
They don't understand metaphor because their brains are like here and ours are like here. It's like
it's a dick measuring contest. Like I said, I have an idea that a lot of these kids may have a better understanding of these things than most adults.
Well, what they
Just a
might
theory.
have,
Just a theory.
what they might have is something that I believe animals have, which is a less of a filter and more of a pure expression.
Okay.
So if someone tells them about hell or something, without putting judgment on it, like this is bad, they just read the ideas about hell. They might come out with something that's very abstract and sounds almost like a metaphor almost, because it's unfiltered, feminine. They haven't developed their masculine to be like,
Yeah.
oh, I can't say that out loud. So no, they have less filter.
Like it's like,
Granted, they are restricted to some degree because they have to speak English.
Daddy? Yes, Sally? What's hell? Oh my. Sit down. Hell's this horrible place where it's nothing but horrible things happening. It's emptiness. Understand, Sally? Yeah. You get tortured, but I won't tell her that. The Dabley is an actual place.
Yeah.
Then she goes to school and sees everybody get bullied and shit. It was hell, Daddy. It was hell. It's like,
yeah, there you go.
and Jay-Z's in the window. He's not a pedophile or anything. He's like, recruitment. Start them while they're young.
At the end, we'll probably go over our own ideas of what hell means. Or whatever.
Poetry, emotion.
Okay. The human talking machine.
Number one, if you're a person of faith, you don't believe that this is a conjecture. You believe that this is a fact.
Well, yes, but this is exactly the problem. Your idea of sin is absolute. It's a fact, not moral conjecture. But if parents do take their Bible seriously and implement its explicit moral commands, it leads to children being held to impossible standards. Take being gay, something I know you consider to be a sin, something that nobody chooses, something that is entirely out of the control of the person, even if you don't believe it has genetic basis.
Wait, what?
Huh? What? Go back. A little more. I gotta hear the
right at the beginning of Shapiro.
Yeah.
The fuck, Shapiro? Damn it.
See, I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to understand what he meant, and I'm also getting like caught in by the fish in the background.
What? Oh, looks like a shark.
I don't know, but it's just
I
there.
would say that's a shark.
It's there.
Yeah.
All right, you can press play.
Anatomy of a shark. Alright, but he says some magical shit right there.
Yeah.
But seems to be, I don't know. I'd have to listen to his metaphysical ideas for that one.
I wouldn't be surprised if this video gets age restricted.
Number one, if you're a person of faith, you don't believe that this is a conjecture. You believe that this is a fact.
Well, yes, but this is exactly the problem. Your idea of sin is absolute. It's a fact, not moral conjecture. But if parents do take their Bible seriously and implement its explicit moral commands, it leads to children being held to impossible standards. Take being gay, something I know you consider to be a sin, something that nobody chooses, something that is entirely out of the control of the person, even if you don't believe it has genetic basis. The Torah
See, that's the thing. It's like, okay, being gay, not a choice. You're just born that way, is what he's saying.
I have to know what he means by that.
And then he says, even if you don't believe it's genetic, blah blah blah, genetic whatever makeup.
That caught my eye. Yeah.
It's like wait a minute. Now we're doing even ifs. Like how's this fitting into your free will argument and things like that?
kind of clashes with it.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
How'd you add an even if there?
He said they have no choice. Then he says, they were born that way. And here's the tough part. It's like, hey, if you just said that, I probably wouldn't disagree, but I have to know what you meant by born that way.
Yeah.
Did you-
I believe his answer is genetic based, but he says even if you don't mean genetic based, and it's like,
Even if you are
it's
an
like, wait,
idiot,
what?
even if you are an idiot and you don't believe the right way. No, I'm not saying he's saying that, but it's like this. It's like someone found themselves, and it just so happens that they were born again, and it just so happens that they were gay. And boom, there you go. But just real quick, the whole common rhetoric where it's, I was born this way. No self-investigating, go on over it.
Yeah,
It's like,
I don't think they know what they mean when they say that.
and even
Other than the intuitive, this has always been me, like, that counts. But
no, sure, but without
they may not have
it's like this. To me, it's like this.
religion.
Sure. It's like you're okay.
Words.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like, hey, you went to the beach for a weekend and you got your those little plastic shovels and you dig. And you go far enough, up to the point where it becomes a hazard. And they tell you, okay, it's time to fill it up, put all the sand back, fill up the hole, go home, come back again sometime and dig again, but not too deep.
I guess.
I was born this way. It's like, what does it mean? Get him out of here! Get him out! It's dragged away. No.
I'm thinking the majority believe metaphysical, but
It's like
they don't understand that it's just the brain.
I'm not saying they're doing that. I'm just saying I hear a lot of it as far as like being part of a movement. That song, it's like. It's like, it means something. Yeah, but not a lot.
Maybe that's because they haven't stepped outside of just
it's
their
that
social self.
It's like
existentially.
Well, yeah, and the song itself may not mean
that
much
I don't
either.
know.
I don't know.
I don't
Anyway.
really know the song.
Yeah.
But also with the
Targeted audiences.
also with the Bible, or religious books saying being gay is sin. I'll have to read them. I haven't read those, so I'll have to find them and read them.
Well,
I'm sure they're there. I just haven't read them myself to be like, oh,
probably.
Are you sure this isn't metaphor?
I remember reading that, but at the same time, I'm very aware that it is a very much a possibility that these books have been tampered with for political control, and social control. So
also, they're wrote by men or man.
Yeah.
I don't mean penis. I mean like human.
No, you mean. But at the same time, if someone were to say it's like, no, it was tampered before, it was amazing, like, oh, even so, I don't really give a fuck. No.
Or the books that are left out.
Sure.
The books that are left out that might contradict everything else in the book.
Yeah, that's very telling.
Where it's like, fuck.
Let's say you're at church, it's like, what about the other ones? Security. Like, no.
Actually, you know what might piss people off?
Becomes jazz, gets thrown out of church. What?
I watched Silicon Valley last night, TV show. And it was all about how it's like taboo to be Christian and work in the tech industry. So what they used a gay guy as like a character who's they're talking about him being outed. You trying to out me, man? It's about his religion, not his gay.
Yeah.
not that he's gay. Yeah. But there's one part where they're talking about the antagonist character, Gavin Belson. And fuck, I wish I could just show the episode. But he's like, listen guys, they're like on a board meeting, he's like, listen guys, Gavin only speaks in parables, okay? And they put this thing up like the bear has honey on it.
Yeah.
Because you know, like the little bear that you put like honey in your tea or whatever.
Yeah, man, I get it. Lyrics.
He said that. He like got his hands to. He's like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
He walks out to his board like, "Guys, the bear has honey on it," or something like that.
Yeah.
They're like the camera like pans in on him, and they're like, "What did you mean by that?" They write it down on a whiteboard. Like, listen, Gavin speaks in parables. So I thought that was funny.
Unequivocally teaches that people of this inclination should be put to death and will suffer in hell. Now, one would have thought that only the first punishment would be enough to satisfy anybody, but not for a sadomasochist like God. More on that later. But you see the...
See, I love that.
Sadomasochist.
I love how they adopt God as whatever religious text
as
is.
a psychotic.
No,
right?
just whatever religious text it is. Like, oh, that's what God means. So I'm against God now. Like, there is no God because this is God here. See the Christian Bible? All these things God does? That's God, so there is no God. Instead of, oh, let me maybe find a definition of God for myself.
Sadomasochist. Well, here's the thing. It's like if you're
basically fundamentalists on the other side of the coin.
Yeah. It's really easy to look at it that way if you want to look at it that way. Really.
Just put like a matrix thing here. You're the result of the equation trying to balance itself out.
problem. You tell a child that if they do X instead of Y, they'll suffer for it. But what about when Y is impossible? Then all you've told them is that they're going straight to hell no matter what. It's like telling someone that they're going to hell because of their eye colour. It's a meaningless and incredibly irresponsible statement.
What is the Y?
Sorry, son. There's no room for you.
In your equation, what is the Y that's impossible? I'd like to hear that.
As well as this, as far as what he said is something that's impossible. What do you think that's impossible? May not be.
Well, I want to know what he means by
Well,
that.
sure, but where I'm getting it from, it's like you said, the opposite side of the fundamentalist, which is also equally ignorant. You know. So.
Yeah.
See, I said he's a psychopath. That means I'm onto something. You're onto something, but you're on the wrong road, man. You're on the wrong road.
There is a solution. If morals are taught to children in a secular manner, they become conversational. If a parent decides to teach their child that being gay is wrong because of reasons other than divine command, like perhaps the spread of AIDS or the impossibility of conception, then when the child grows up, he or she will be able to analyze their morality and develop their own moral philosophy.
Oh boy.
I partially agree with that. Actually, I like that.
I only said oh boy. I'm like, I wonder what's, because usually I'm not saying him, but sometimes when it's like okay, then it's usually something that just comes crashing down in disappointment. You know?
Yeah.
So,
I'd say that's okay as long as you can also allow the kid to understand that there's moral intelligence to things too.
There's a vast amount.
As in, like, murdering someone, I wouldn't think of that as like a difficult, mental debate on morals. It's like, should I kill him? Should I not?
It's a relatively easy. There should be like, it should be a point where there's no thought involved. Really, it's already no.
Yeah.
It's like, did you suck that? No. Like that, but positive. You know what I mean? Like in a good way.
So, actually, yeah, then once again it goes into the, how are you defining God? Is God to you really just the guy in the Bible or
What do you call it? Sadomasochism?
Torah? Yeah.
Yeah, the Quran, Allah, the Bible,
And
surfer dude. Yeah.
This is why I need like a debate so I can hear questions and actually
All right, that's
answer
what
back
you're
and
gonna do.
forth
That's what you're gonna do. Trust me.
rather than having to guess what
You're
the
gonna
hell
do.
they're talking about.
You're gonna message him.
I already tried it. Like,
Hold on. You send him your like how you guys can get in touch through Venmo. You pay him, and you can debate.
Onward.
In other words, they'll be able to think for themselves. They might realize that
There's no free will, so how are they thinking for themselves?
heterosexuals get AIDS too, or that lesbian sex is actually the safest form of sex. Or they might decide that children are not an important contributing factor in their potential relationships. Or perhaps they may even decide that homosexuality is indeed morally wrong. Either way, they can argue for or against the morality of homosexuality without the need for God. But if you use the prior method and tell them that they're going to hell and that it's God's word, then it becomes immutable. You cannot disagree. You immediately remove all hope for philosophical autonomy. In fact, the only way that this child could now reconcile something like being gay, for instance, with such religious prescription, is if they entertain the idea that maybe God doesn't exist at all. And you wonder why faith in God is dwindling in the 21st century.
Right, faith.
At all.
Yeah. All right. What if the
I
what if the kid independently discovers God or something?
What do you mean by that?
What if they they mentally come up with these principles and ideas and all these things? They come up with stories in their head, and all of a sudden they read the entire Bible and they're like, "Fuck, these motherfuckers copied me," you know? And it's like, can you? All right, I don't even know why I said that. Onward.
It's the hat, man.
Believes that the idea of heaven or punishment in the afterlife or comeuppance in the afterlife is a real thing. So it's not like you're lying to your kid. This isn't Santa Claus or Easter or the Easter Bunny, right? This is actually something different. This is.
We gotta disregard the Easter Bunny, man. What's going on there? Because no one puts enough meaning behind it in Santa Claus.
Hair club for men.
You telling what you perceive to be a truth to your children, so that's not child abuse.
Okay, I am genuine.
Partially agree with them there. That your intention matters.
Oh, big time.
So, if you truly believe that if you do something bad, you'll go to hell or whatever, and you tell your kid that, it's like, oh, I understand. You truly believe that.
No, sure. But it doesn't escape the, Here's the thing, though. It's weird because it gets to that point where, like, well, were you wrong? Like, did you like, do the internal work to really understand what that really means? Or
the hell part?
Yeah. If you do something bad, you'll go to hell. It's like, even that. Let's just.
I would say they're culpable on that level, but
Go on.
they're just equal to the children.
Sure.
They're guessing in a way.
Yeah.
So
at the same time, it's like this. It's like, even if the translations were wrong. Let's say the translation of that was completely wrong, but in a way, how one can put meaning into it now could definitely make sense. As far as you do something wrong, you go to hell. I could put my own little spin on that, and I know it's true. You
Yeah.
know? So I don't. I would just call it like ignorance, but the intentions were good. Yeah, that's what I would say. As far as I'm gonna control you, I'm gonna tell you this. I'm not really sure what I'm saying here. I'm gonna do it because I'm bad. Yeah, don't do that. It's bad. Yeah, not good.
this is why
Bad intentions.
This is why I refrain from calling
Lunch.
external things objective,
Oh.
because the intention part, right?
Yeah.
Are you gonna judge something as abuse without intention?
Yeah.
You can literally see some guy just punching his kid over and over again.
Yeah.
Like, fuck, that's fucking abuse. It's objectively abuse. He's beating the shit out of him.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, the guy has schizophrenia. He thinks his kid is a little demon job. He's punching the demon out of the kid. Like,
Yeah.
oh, intentions matter.
Sure. Yeah.
There you go.
Astounded by the lack of critical analysis here. You just said that this is something different, that because you're teaching something that you perceive as truth, not just opinion, to your children, it's therefore not child abuse. Do you...
Yes. Intention.
Like, for example, let's say they're in the Bronx, New York.
You can't disregard the individual for to put some blanket term on something.
father and son live in the Bronx in an apartment, and all of a sudden,
Story. Good.
it's not a story, it's a tale. Anyway, see, tales are more magical. You don't deserve it. Press play. Yeah.
Before I watched Silicon Valley last night, I watched this show called Here and Now.
You're like, oh, my story.
Where there's a character that is believed to be schizophrenic. So he's in a treehouse with his little niece, and he looks down the ladder to the treehouse and is like, oh shit, it's on fire. So he grabs the little girl and throws her out the window. She breaks her arm and shit. And everyone's like, dude, there's no fire here, man.
Yeah.
Like that. His intention was to protect her. Now you can call that child abuse if you want, but I might call it something different.
Seriously suppose that if I genuinely believe something to be true, that automatically qualifies me to teach it to my children.
No. But
Wait,
if you think your child's whether your child goes to infinite paradise or infinite torment, I think if that's all you understand, you're morally, like, in a way obligated. You're like, fuck, if I don't tell him.
Sure, but at the same time,
It would be abuse to not say something. To at least put the idea out there.
Well, yeah.
But ignorance is ignorance. Be ignorance breeding,
Sure.
possibly breeding more ignorance.
Most likely.
Possibly.
It's like,
As in, there's a lot of people that get turned off by that shit. They're like, this has to be bullshit. Like, something within them says, this is such bullshit. So, they usually end up on the other side of the room.
Yeah. It's very interesting because, like, those who are taught this at a young age, most likely, they're not really given. I don't know everybody, but it's tough because I would say maybe on average, like the parents who were taught this and so forth, down from like their dad or their mom, whatever the fuck, or whoever the fuck was in charge.
Yeah.
They may not know because these vague terms or these fundamentalist viewpoints maybe used to teach them. And when they're questioned one day, which it may be an uncommon thing, because it could be like a community bubble, and when they question it, it's just mostly within that box, like within that bubble. My bad, within the bubble. So whenever they go outside the bubble in a way, as far as someone says, hey, what do you think about that? Why this and why that? It could be a little difficult. So I can get why some people may, or I don't know, man. Like, just leave me alone. I don't know. Or I don't want to hear this. Sounds fake, dumb shit. I get it,
Yeah.
Many people in the world who teach their children that black people are inherently inferior to white people, or that white people are inherently inferior to black people. Now, I know this sounds awful, but before you start thinking this is irresponsible parenting or something like that, I should tell you that these parents genuinely believe this racism to be true, a fact of nature, not just some opinion. This isn't Santa Claus or the Easter Bunny, after all. This is fine parenting.
Second of all,
how would you know that?
I don't know if Shapiro said that means it's good parenting, but
I think he's taking the intentions things to a little bit of an extreme. No?
It sounds like he's disregarding the intention when it comes to abuse. Right?
Well, look,
Would you call that abuse, or would you call it just an ignoramus?
I think it can go
Saying
hand.
ignorant
I
stuff.
think one can be a result of another, and they can also go hand in hand.
But I wouldn't put
you could say someone was physically or psychologically abused by someone who might have had a parent who had schizophrenia, and they might have believed that, like truly believed it.
Yeah.
So
I don't consider that abuse. I'd consider that just
physical.
Yeah. Well,
Sure about that?
it'd be physically violence and yeah. But I wouldn't say abuse has the word of I intend to hurt you, as opposed to I intend to help you. Right?
That's why I think it can go hand in hand here. I like you.
I don't.
Even so,
know.
okay.
Yeah.
Let's. I don't know what schizophrenics go through. I don't even know that much about them. I do know is that they see shit that I don't, or maybe feel something that I don't. But if they see someone with like that, like it's like there's a demon on you. It's like, wait a minute, let me think about this. I could hit the demon. I could get the knife and stab the demon, and it could get off the person. Or, you know, who knows? You know,
In their world, is that abuse? Looking through their eyes.
I don't know. I'm not.
I would never hurt him. I thought there was a demon on his.
I'm not them. I don't know. I don't want to create like a false.
I still wouldn't call that abuse. I call it something else.
Not fair enough.
I call it a schizophrenic lapse. You were raised with ignorant information. Religion or religious or whatever. Eugenics.
He's not liking
eugenic, whatever.
That's like the face of like someone, like you interrupt them, you get the right answer. It's like, you little fuck. See you after class.
I think that you can make the case against sin in almost secular terms very often by simply saying that things that are sinful lead you down a road that sullies you as a human being and makes your life more unhappy. There tends to be an extraordinarily...
That's not true, right?
How's it not true?
Leads to a life that sullies you and an unhappy life. Well, actually, I have to wait and find out what the sins are in order to say that, but I'm pretty sure Ted Bundy was cool until he got caught. Pretty sure he was like, yeah.
Yo, man, Ted, man.
Fuck.
Ted's the shit, man. You ever seen his salad? Me either, but he's a cool dude.
There you go. There could be people that take pleasure in pain.
Yeah.
Onward.
high crossover between the things that God says are a sin in the Judeo-Christian system and things that are actually that end with nasty results to you in this life as well.
So what you're saying is that the injunctions of Holy Scripture seem to line up pretty perfectly with behavior that human beings will benefit from in this life. But you're saying this in order to defend the proposition that it's moral to teach children about eternal suffering in the afterlife. Okay, but if we can recognize that there are worldly benefits to acting in certain manners that will cause the human conscience to flourish or degrade, why can't we simply use this as our moral barometer? If you steal, societal liberties will have to be restricted and you will lose the trust of those around you, causing you to fall into an isolation and be in a worse position than if you'd never stolen in the first place.
Why do you always pause it with him making a weird face, man?
I don't mean to do that.
They do.
Doesn't he look like Paul McCartney?
No?
He does a little
It's
bit.
the hair, man. I used to have hair like that. People used to say the same thing.
Alright. Why'd I have to say that? I had to say you look like Paul McCartney and just throw my point out the fucking window.
I forgot what I was going to say.
Let's hear that again.
Watch you pause it with him making a weird face.
The Scripture seem to line up pretty perfectly with behavior that human beings will benefit from in this life. But you're saying this in order to defend the proposition that it's moral to teach children about eternal suffering in the afterlife. Okay, but if we can recognize that there are worldly benefits to acting in certain manners that will cause the human conscience to flourish or degrade, why can't we simply use this as our moral barometer? If you steal, societal liberties will have to be restricted and you will lose the trust of those around you, causing you to fall into an isolation and be in a worse position than if you'd never stolen in the first place.
That's
Did it again.
it's gonna happen no matter what.
It's not true. I
He's-
pause it corporates like this. Not.
Alright, before I forget again. Yeah, there are people who flourish and find company around what we call criminals. It's called gangs and, so on and
Never
so
heard of
forth. Criminal organizations. Fucking ISIS, man. Aren't they like a bunch of dudes?
No.
Aren't they like a bunch of dudes
Allegedly.
commit crimes and hang out together or whatever they do?
Allegedly.
Similar like thinking and shit.
Mm.
They're not completely isolated. Also,
The white helmets.
you should be teaching your kids about both. I think about good and bad things in this world, and then if you believe in an afterlife, that too. If you don't believe in an afterlife, then you have the automatic starting point of I don't know. Thus,
It's not a bad place to start.
Thus, if you don't know, then you want to learn these things about good and bad, and then you just be yourself with those. Use them as tools. Then whether there is or isn't an afterlife, you'll be fine. If you just follow your conscience and all that. Maybe, I don't know.
But maybe you'll feel a lot safer if. I'm not trying to judge here, but it's something I took from what you said. It does seem. I don't want to call it a crutch, but you could call it something like that. It might be easier to go towards that rather than do the digging, possibly. Yeah.
That meaning what? Meaning
a religion or atheism or
yeah. It's definitely more comfortable.
That's what I would call it. Yeah.
Until you get past a certain point, then it's
I believe everybody will.
way
Eventually.
easier of principles to live by.
Oh yeah.
Because they're dictated by you. The best version of you. God. Onward.
So don't do it. That's good enough for me. Why on earth must we bring in the sadism of eternal punishment into the equation? I mean, to tell a child not to steal for these secular reasons is enough. Punish dishonesty and reward honesty in this life, sure. But the moment that you start speaking of eternal damnation, your parental model has become little more than nightmare fuel for your unfortunate children. Sure, it may be effective. This is what Mr. Shapiro argues. It can reduce rates of child disobedience. Fine.
That's a dumb argument. You're talking about the eternal, metaphysical existence of all this shit just so some kid, doesn't steal candy from a candy store. It's like, fuck it how effective it is. It should be about the principle of the thing.
Batman Begins.
I truly believe this,
Batman.
so I say something.
Batman Begins.
There you go.
I don't know if this is actually statistically true, but let's suppose it is. So what? Are you willing to do anything to get your children to behave? Or do you have moral limits? If I told a child, say, that if they cry on a plane, I'll suffocate them in their sleep until they awake panic-stricken only to die moments later by my unrelenting hand. They'd probably not cry on that plane. But that's not moral. That's not effective parenting. So why on earth is it okay to teach them something not just as abhorrent as this, but something much worse?
That might have worked better if you used a moral situation rather than just a kid crying on a plane. But
give us one.
Nitpicky.
Give us one.
And if they tell a lie, or steal, or look at a woman with lust, or profane, or disrespect...
What?
Give us a situation.
No, that was his example. He just used a kid crying on a plane as a reason to smother her, or him, or whatever.
Well, it's that,
if you
and then as they wake, an unrelenting hand is waiting. That means he's waiting for that kid to wake up. Go ahead.
Their parents. Things that any honest person will attest to being guilty of no matter what. That they'll be sent to a place where they'll burn in endless fires for eternity. Or they'll suffer and agonize for eternity.
Once again, I gotta read these religious books just to make sure it's not metaphor and these guys are
Trust me,
silly.
even if there's like purpose, hold on. If it's purposely bullshit that someone put in there to control someone politically, you could even find meaning in that, which means you could have you could totally disregard what it originally would have meant. It's like a symbol in a way.
Well,
it is.
I say when it comes to things like that, I like the idea of cherry picking Although most people are like, oh, you gotta accept the whole thing or throw the entire thing away. It's like, nah.
No.
Fucking change. What sounds like a good idea here? Oh, this part? Alright. Adopt that part if you want to. Oh, this sounds shitty? Get rid of it.
That's why I don't
artwork,
I don't
man.
disregard the whole religion thing because there's parts I like from it, but the sad thing is when someone accepts it as like a fundamentalist, you're missing out on like I'm not gonna give you a percentage here because I can't. Well, it's like in a way, it's like thinking you're getting a full bag of chips, but it turns out there's like 75% of that shit's air.
Like a normal bag of chips.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, they'll choke and die 1,000 deaths and be skinned and scorched for eternity. I'm sorry, Mr. Shapiro, this is not child-friendly stuff. And I can assure you...
That's relative. In fact, no offense.
It's like someone shows them, hey, do you like wrestling, Timmy? Yeah. Well, let me show you 1998. I'm just kidding.
That's
pretty
relative.
bad skin. Oh yeah, I understand.
That's people are at different existential ages, I would say.
I get what he's saying though.
Nah, you're understanding for sure.
From personal experience that this image of hell stays with you. It can ruin people.
Like that. That's the shit I was talking to you about. How, like, people I try to argue with on Twitter, they all have like I'm an ex-Christian, I'm an ex-this, I'm an ex, like, religious thing. And they turn so far into the other side of it.
Yeah, I can honestly tell you, look, I never was. I was raised to do that. What? I was raised with that, you know. Again, even when I was, or as far as I could see, no one really dug, if I could say that. No one really, you know, picked at the ideas. No one really wanted to see what this or that meant. It was as far as like the meaning they would give you go. It just means he loves you. It's like, oh, okay, yeah. I'm like, oh, that's what you say. And after a while, I'm like, this sounds like lyrics to me. And then things just got way easier from there.
Yeah,
it's like what turned out to be looking like a big, scary black pit. You know, there's nice warm water in there, man, and wonderful things, man.
Yeah.
Meaning, I think it's better to do that than.
Oh, wait, what do you mean by that? I saw the image. I sort of understood the metaphor.
All right,
but I don't know if they know that.
Wait, he probably doesn't know, because it's like what you said. Well, I view him as he saw that, and either he didn't really care. I kind of cared a little bit, but at the same time, it was very contradicting. It's like this.
I'm thinking he's more of the full-on care.
Hold on.
And then one day it was like, or heard something that went like, oh shit, this sounds like bullshit. I'm gonna run exact as hard as I can in the opposite direction.
The fundamentalist point of view, I found to be bullshit in a way, because it's like, that's not what good is. And again, at the time, I couldn't fucking tell you. I could have a tough time explaining it, and I might go, I don't know, leave me alone. But at the same time, it's what happened with him. It's like, you could have the hand, and it's not his hand, it's the hand, you could call it, and there's a quarter, you know? And there's one side to a quarter, another side to a quarter, and he's one of those guys that probably, if it's not one side, will be the other, rather than just the whole coin itself.
Yeah.
Kind of just turning and turning, rather. It has to be on one side. I used to be this side. Now I'm tails. You understand?
What that would show is just an existential lack of choice. And since he doesn't even believe in free will or choice, that might explain something. Try to, I would say, figure out who you are.
I use metaphor.
Then you'll figure out what choice is. Then you'll realize
I use
where you're
metaphors.
at. Yeah.
I use metaphors and analogies only because I feel like they're very easy to. Okay,
They're much better to use. If I was teaching a class on whatever existentialism, I'd use movies all the time. I won't even teach anything. I'd just be like, hey, watch this movie. Pause it here. Like, you see that? There you go.
You got it. You got to be.
There's a question right there.
You got to be able to do a little bit of there, here and there.
Fuck that shit.
Lie.
That's how I do.
Christian children can stay up at night crying their eyes out because their friend from school is a Muslim and so is condemned to suffer until the end of time as far as they're concerned. You do not get to tell me that this doesn't damage children. You don't get to tell me that this isn't an abuse of your duty as a parent, let alone trying to tell me that this is actually beneficial. It bemuses me that people can't see the barbarity of this.
See, now I feel bad.
You're treading deep waters, my friend.
Now I feel bad because it feels like this guy's too close to it. He's like...
Don't feel bad.
Basically said it was like, this personally happened with him. So now he's like, you don't understand how shitty this feels. And it's like, fuck, I thought you were just making an argument, but you have an actual personal connection.
Well, we have empathy. So, it's something you can't go back from. Also, it could be a sign that, like, he cares and he imagined this scenario. And that's why he may feel strongly about it. I don't know. I can get it. I understand. At the same time, if you really...
And, yeah. I can go with it.
It's just funny to me how you can get stuck there.
I can go with, like, the silly, petty argument right now. I feel like...
Let's get petty.
The stereotypical...
Talk about his hair. Let's
scholastic, academic philosophy that just does mental gymnastics. You don't actually... I don't think they're actually learning, like, wisdom, which I guess is what philosophy is, the study of wisdom. I think it's more of, like, this goes over here, and this thought here, then I counteract this thought over here with this thought over here, and then this, and this, and this.
In a way, I'm not saying
an argument.
I'm not saying it's learned.
Test it out.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's learned by accident, but in a way, it's like those scenarios that are probably not the best way of, like, teaching. So just so happen to maybe set up other, like, events that eventually cause you to have this thing happen, and it's... Do you get it?
I don't know if...
It's like, you know, it's like, hey, come on. Come on. Do you smell it?
I don't know if Shapiro...
That's where this came from. Come on.
I don't know if Shapiro responded to this, but I can almost imagine what he would say right here.
What?
He'd tell him...
Think of Matt. Wait, what?
Can I go?
No, you can't. Respond to
go
what? Specifically.
To this guy.
So what do you say?
About basically what they've been talking about teaching the idea of hell and heaven to kids is abuse.
Okay.
You can just easily say...
Just because everybody's joining us right now.
You could just basically say, well, what you're doing is abuse. Someone truly deep down believes in heaven and hell and all that shit, and you're here to say, no, it's...
Like I said.
It's like, wait a minute.
We had a coin here.
That's abuse.
The coin, right?
By your definition.
It's like the same thing.
It's like, no, hold on.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you're trying to... You think your belief is so imperative that you're trying to pass it on to the next person.
Yeah.
I don't think of that as abuse. But according to this definition, it is abuse.
Regarding intentions, I don't either.
Now, if he takes the argument to, well, he's talking to children. Like, well... Then he has to rely on the genetics and brain-based argument of everything. Which I think is silly. Silly and incomplete.
Like I said, though.
Dog. Right.
I think that it fits the coin thing very perfectly. It's like both have care, empathy, and yet it's almost a total opposite of each other in a way. It's like, why did you point as this? But it's not so different. You won't.
I heard him jump a little bit. I was like, I heard that.
I go like, oh. It's like, yeah, you know. It's like one side may have a face, you know, opposite to the other, you know.
Yeah.
It's like you're different, but you're also the same. So that's where it's like at this point now, it's like, oh, you're both kind of me.
Yeah.
This is kind of easy.
I agree with.
I'm not saying they're not intelligent. I'm sure they're and on one side of the spectrum. Yeah.
I agree with both their empathetic stances
Yeah,
and,
me too. Yeah.
in a way, moral stances. You can't just force ideas onto people. But
Like, do
their
I think
concerns might be very similar.
do I think it's not right for someone who hasn't personally internally investigated themselves to project an idea of what is on someone else? I don't think that's good.
Yeah.
But if at that point where, it can't be helped at that moment, and they believe rather than know, that's tough.
Yeah.
Like, for me, you could say so, and I get it. But at the same time, it's like it takes one to do the work themselves either way. So,
Yeah, all the...
like, if I know, like this, like if I know what good is, I can't tell you. If I tell you, you won't know. I mean, based off of me telling you, you'd have to.
That's anything.
Well, sure.
That's
Susan's an example. You'd have to decode the words coming out of my mouth. Oh, did he mean this or did he mean that? You won't automatically know.
That's math. That's learning your times tables.
Yeah.
It's a teacher projecting information at you, but it's your job to really teach yourself. That's what learning is. It's you teaching yourself stuff.
Yeah. It's weird. It's like there is no teacher. There's just someone that shows you the way.
Well, that's mathematics. That's understanding the outside world. The internal stuff would have to be content coming from here to the ego.
Again.
In order to say, but you teach yourself this. Or most people can just ignore it. Like, oh, deja vu. Or
I get it's language, but it's also when someone says, I taught him that. It's like, no, you didn't.
Yeah.
You showed them a way, and they adopted it. And whether they figured it out or not is really...
Well, you give them content, and they mix mash it whatever way they want.
Like words. It's like, here, ready? Take this and... Good now. Now you know, right? Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah.
I have memorized and am able to repeat it back to you.
See, I now have
I have learned.
I now have a hat. I know now. No offense.
I have learned.
I have bought this shirt. That means I now am an expert. Sorry.
Input, output. Alright.
Whose
Inject
God
quarter
is
slot.
this that will subject people of all ages to this unthinkable underworld for so-called crimes such as lust, which, by the way, Mr. Shapiro, does not align with things that cause sadness to humans like you claim?
I would say it does.
Depends.
I would consider any empty action as empty.
I would say so.
I mean, if you don't put any feeling, like, there's no feeling behind it of any type, then it really is as shitty as it sounds.
Yeah.
Which is why we call it that.
Yeah, shallow. Yeah.
But once again, he's probably defining lust based on whatever the Bible says.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You cannot look at a woman and say she's like I'll look at whoever, and I could say, yeah, man, she's hot. Yeah. I'm not gonna disregard the other part. That's as far as it's tough for me to put into words, but it's like to disregard the other.
Well, to care yourself. You just call it yourself.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Rather than, an object. Pleasure.
Even things on like the smallest level of yourself, where it's like,
no, I know where you're going. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Everyone else is having sex. I gotta get laid, and it's like that little slice of curiosity is enough to put some sort of meaning in the sex, at least.
Well, sure,
but there are some empty stuff.
Yeah.
There's some empty shit going on.
Like this. See a 5-year-old just sees ants, just
wait, what?
5-year-old
walking
around.
Ants?
Yeah. Just hold on.
That's leads into curiosity and things like that.
Sure. But eventually, I'll say nothing goes on there. If anything, just more kind of it was curiosity. Eventually, just becomes more empty. As I would say,
Well, yeah.
Then eventually, let's say he's like,
That's what we would have to do in someone's separate.
Well,
Because
yeah.
there's so many factors you'd have to bring into
All I'm
account
saying
in order to
is-
say someone's empty.
I'm not saying him. I'm saying the action was. You know.
Well, that's saying that person in that moment's almost like an empty vessel.
Sure. Yeah.
And that would take a long-winded fucking
Sure.
thing.
I was just gonna explain.
Explaining
There's a spectrum of it
This
all.
is this over here.
There's a spectrum. There's also tiers of it.
What? Oh, alright. I was like, my head was like, crying? Oh, no, tears, levels.
Hey, maybe.
Gotcha.
It's like I did something and there's no reason. Oh. It's like, no dig.
If you don't find another person attractive, you don't try to start a relationship with them. It's necessary. That's why it survives the evolutionary history of humanity. Yet it is prohibited by biblical scripture, despite its biological benefits. You therefore...
You do not fit the circular circumference of what my needs are.
That's you, not me.
I'm just kidding.
I was just making a bland robotic voice. Not passing it to this guy at all. Who actually seems alright.
It's a joke. My God. I'm not the one that called him Paul McCartney, okay?
He looks like Paul McCartney.
No, he does not.
Yeah, he does.
It's the hair.
Alright.
can't honestly claim that the prescriptions of Judeo-Christianity really all align with human well-being. Furthermore, it seems suspicious, does it not, that instead of this, these prescriptions seem to line up
What do you
much
mean
more
him?
fluently
Something we
with
heard
the
like the
pre-existing
other day.
desires of the Jews who wrote the Bible. Now, ask yourself the following question. Was it desires of the Jews who wrote the Bible? Now, ask yourself the following question. Was it God that created humans and endowed them with a series of lectures instructing them how to live? And what luck, these instructions are perfectly agreeable. Or did humans create God and endow him with a tendency to agree with their own pre-existing moral beliefs?
Both. Humans are God creating itself, creating God. Creating itself, creating God, creating itself, creating
I
God.
agree with that.
And on and on and on and on and on and on and on.
And then you see the universe,
Like, the God's like,
nature.
God, nature. I shouldn't use God, right? I shouldn't say that.
Yeah, you can.
But I don't want to use, cause I'm not defining it anywhere near what
Here's
he's
the thing.
defining it.
I don't
or
know.
Ben Shapiro's
Here,
defining
I
it.
don't know if they're using it as a buzzword, meaning.
I think they're using it as in what he said, Judeo-Christian God. The guy from the Bible is God.
Well, yeah. Let's just be honest here. How do we know that? Okay, let's say, I mean the Judeo-Christian, and then the guy who like actually wrote it's like, no, you fuck. That's not what I meant. He's got it right. You got it right. They just turn to ashes again, and you hear him in the distance like, God damn it, fucking 1500. Fuck. So you know.
It's 2018? They still don't got it right yet? Fuck. Jesus, come back.
It's like,
Do it. You need to reincarnate and do it again.
Needs to come back.
Come back and die for our sins again.
Jones.
They didn't get
needs
it.
to come back. Yeah, I think it's perfectly fine. God, nature, the universe,
Yeah.
what have you.
I think it's more of nature or God
What would you say? If,
wanting to be like, I wonder what it's like to be James. It's like, then you're born, like, oh, this is what it's like to be James.
Yeah.
I wonder if James is here. I wonder if James knows that he's James. And, and this is constantly your whole life. James, look over here. Stop looking at those tits over there. I'm right here. And we call those urges or even thoughts, intuition, be anxiety, whatever. Everything's your true self trying to like put his foot up against the wall like this. Trying to pull you.
Then you hear, yo, nice shoes, man. Not even mad. Could paint my wall though. Dirty ass.
Well, yeah. Alright, whatever.
If you answer this question honestly, you'll find that the so-called morality that you're teaching to your children comes not from the divine, but from the ancient whims of nameless desert-dwelling peasants.
Honestly.
Humanity is divine, as is everything else. I dare you to challenge me on that.
What'd you say?
I dare you to challenge me on that.
To a debate.
Yeah.
Him.
on
What's his name?
Alex something O'Connell. I didn't see his last name. I apologize for that. Call him Alex McCartney.
How about Alex has more subscribers than us?
More. He has like a. I don't know.
I feel like we're like a third world country. And he's like, look at his background.
Just bomb them and then.
My dad background's a green screen. O2, come on, O2 pitch. I think that means.
Is perhaps best reflected in the obscene depictions of hell that you'll find amongst the pages they authored. The same obscenity that you're defending teaching to children.
I think that God set out a system that has created the greatest civilization in the history of mankind. I don't think that's a coincidence.
Are you sure that...
What did he just say?
Man, the dude says it. I give that to him, man. I'm very impressed with his ability to speak so so well and fast.
Yeah, he's very quick.
I babble. Can you go back?
Ben is very quick.
Meet Ben. He's quick.
Sorry, Rob.
That has to be the greatest thing.
The same obscenity that you're defending teaching to children.
I think that God set out a system that has created the greatest civilization in the history of mankind. I don't think that's a coincidence.
Are you sure...
Here's the thing, though. This guy's like just taking little excerpts from what he's saying. I haven't heard his whole thing. That's the problem here. At the same time, it's enough. It's
No,
enough.
I think he's doing what we're doing. He's listening to the full thing, but he's stopping it like, hold on, you're saying this now.
Well, fair, but I was gonna say like his explanations kind of are telling enough. So, but me personally,
Yeah, we're the greatest civilization in ever.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
Not yet.
It's like, what are the worst things in human history? Like torture,
Hitler,
rape, genocide, war, famine.
Let's see.
Disease.
Impaling.
Oh, no, those aren't moral things, like diseases and shit. But famine, for sure. Why there are certain people fed and certain people not. All these giant problems human history.
Corporations.
Like Ben, all these giant problems humanity has had still exist. Just because you're not aware of them doesn't mean they don't exist. Or just because there's not
just because
100 million people on the planet and there's 7.5 billion.
Just because there's no one sitting in a gigantic Rome Colosseum calling shots. People fighting, that doesn't mean there's listen, those empires, not civilized, they don't exist anymore. Oh yeah, they do, buddy.
Think of the worst action a human can do to another.
Still goes on.
It's probably still happening.
We just got better toys to do it. Got better means.
You're thinking of war and shit. I'm thinking of something much worse.
Oh no. Better toys to be able to do these things.
Yeah.
And that, imagine this. Someone years ago buried themselves to the point where seemingly, because I don't believe that you can do this, completely get rid of the conscience. That's why I believe they have to suppress it. But there's people that have gotten good at that. Let's say they take absolute enormous amounts of pleasure from causing other people suffering, and it just so happens that puts them in a position of power, whether it's money or what have you.
That'd be
too
much self-present there.
Well,
You add pleasure into it. Do you mean physical pleasure?
No.
Or emotional pleasure?
It's something else. I don't know how to describe it. It's like an energy type of thing. So, I would say the same shit goes on today, except just new ways to do it, better toys, man.
Different time and space. Alright.
That this civilization is not more indebted to the Enlightenment and the introduction of secular philosophy? I think
He agrees with him, but just says the other side of the coin's version.
Yeah.
All these scientific and... They shouldn't actually... They should really have that word taken away from them. Enlightenment. It's like, what? It's like, what? Huh?
I feel bad for you, man.
What?
You have
Oh,
get-
it just
you
doesn't
have to
sound right.
Get rid of so much of this shit to make this shit not an hour long.
I don't care if it's an hour long. just, I don't know why. Just the word just does not fit. Maybe I'm hearing it wrong. Whatever.
Well, hey, it's how they're using it. It's like
I think I can recall.
it's like if they say the word absolute good or morally right.
Or facts. Right?
Facts.
I'm really disliking that one.
So it's like they use that, and yet their morals are very weak. And they use something as far as, well, collateral damage is a normal part of this. It's the right thing to do. It's like, what's it like?
You're going off on another.
No, I'm not.
I don't think most of these.
I'm not saying
atheists
him.
do that.
I'm not saying him. I'm just saying it's a little annoying to hear someone say to say a word that they're just wrong about, like objectively.
Once again, as they define it and stuff, the way I hear I'm using it.
I'm not saying him.
Horrible.
I'm just saying in general.
Yeah.
I've definitely done.
I don't
it
mean him.
before.
I mean like
I've definitely
the
done
type
it. Yeah.
I think he associates with, as in like that pure scientific review type stuff.
Okay.
Anyways,
More subscribers.
The time in history when people took this one.
it's like you're saying a lot of stuff, but you're not really saying anything. I can listen to this. subscribe. Just kidding.
I like the shirt.
JK.
The full moral code you speak of as the best way to govern Western society, and it wasn't particularly pretty, if I remember correctly. It's not religious injunctions that preserve Western morality. It's Western morality that preserves Western morality.
Western morality preserves Western morality. And how did these things come about?
See, they're just there.
People came up with morals.
It was your good Christian values that made you a good person.
What possessed them to come up with morals?
It was the sun god.
Because there's something as good and bad, right? It's like, I wonder where that leads to.
See, if they weren't good, then their crops would die. Simple as that.
But then,
Tide goes in, tide goes out.
why do you care to have crops?
Tide goes in, tide goes out. Can't explain that. Waiting to say that. Thank you,
I don't have much time for moral authoritarianism, and certainly not for the administration of this injustice to the youngest of our species. I truly do not care if you genuinely believe that your divine revelation is what it really claims to be. It doesn't change the demonstrable harm that it can deliver to children. It doesn't change the...
So good. A Barney episode.
It's a little weird you don't care.
Yeah.
It's like, if you're at that point of knowing, you...
I don't know about that.
Like this. Imagine this. If you know, then you'd want other people to know. I'm not telling you. Like you go out like, everyone, you don't drink the water. Don't do it. Just
drink my Kool-Aid instead.
No, it's just like you'd care, but you're not gonna like. You're gonna have to say, I can't tell you how. You have to find out for yourself. So it's like, bro, you probably care. Come on, man.
Yeah.
That fish cares. Why don't you? Come on.
The fucking shark.
Whatever.
Alright.
absurdity of its moral commands. I don't care how invested you are personally in these beliefs. It's simply...
My bad, but instead of like a Jesus fish, he had to put like the shark or whatever the fuck, the gods. It's like, I'm against this. It had to be.
Money good, religion bad.
It doesn't change the facts, which, after all, don't care about your feelings. I've been Alex O'Connor, or Cosmicskeptic. You can find me on social media
I got that
here.
right.
I want to thank you very much
damn,
for
I like
watching.
that.
Don't forget to
Fuck.
subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.
He went like this, and it's like boom, 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 boom. That's awesome. Well, can't you do that? Because we don't have 10,000 subscribers,
I know.
and we're dirt poor. And well, actually, yeah, in a way.
Alright,
Like, well,
this video ran kind of long, so we're not going to do the definition of hell or heaven or whatever in this one.
check that out for part 2.
Ask around and maybe we'll do it.
Ask
all
around.
11 of you. Please. Please ask.
We're gonna do it anyway.